Talking about you got this and you got that, and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And
keep going.
Welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but is not limited to, my boy Hunt. What's poppin', Hunt?
Hello, Conrad. Good morning.
How we feeling?
We got the monitor back. Okay, our monitor was down. I was like, are we even on air? Like, I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, you must have been so scared for that monitor not to be there.
I wasn't scared.
What's poppin'? How you been?
I just thought we got cut off. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Doing well. Out there in the Wynn streets this week.
Ooh, yeah. You fired a couple bullets already?
Yeah, fired 2 bullets yesterday. No dice, so we're back out there today and hopefully running better.
All right, sweet. I played the 1100 six max. It was awesome, man.
I missed the 6 max. I was really sad. It's always so fun playing 6 max live.
Man,
like, it's great.
It was so good. I got to put my feet out. I was like, oh,
I thought you were about to put your other foot on the desk as well. Just go like spread eagle like on the desk.
It fell straight back.
I thought about the shot. I was like, well, damn.
No, you're good, bro. You got a computer there. Like when I sit in the other chair, you see some shit every day.
It's true. You ain't lying over there, Landon. You are not lying. Berkey is not here today. Not with us. You know, he passed away.
He's been replaced. He's been replaced by the younger generation.
Yeah,
it is true. He got an 8 a.m. call. Hey, come play 100 at Bobby's room. So he's out.
Yeah, he fucking left us.
He fucking left us, man.
As he should.
Yeah, you know
from the stories I hear from that room, he should go.
Yeah, you know what's funny is all this Twitter dialogue lately about like if you get invited to a game and you're not bringing a whale with you, then maybe they think you're the fish or you're getting cheated or whatever. It's funny how Berkey keeps getting all these invites despite the fact that he crushes these games. It's like, at what point do they think he's the fish? Is there something going on? Like, what's happening here?
Oh, you might not have seen this.
What's that? What have I not seen?
Oh, so some of the people in Berkey's game sent him this video, which was like a cartoon video where they're just calling him a fish.
I haven't seen that.
Calling him
Wow.
like the worst player in Vegas, and it is fucking hilarious.
So that's why he gets the invites, because they just think he sucks.
It's like a good minute of just trolls, and it is so fucking funny, bro.
I don't know how, like, it's funny, right? Because everyone thought he sucked for a long time for whatever reason, and then they're like, the opinion kind of changed.
Oh, there was reason.
Oh, sure, okay.
The biggest
Says
reason,
the child of the sim.
The biggest reason I think is the 9-9 hand, where he found against
When he folded a boat?
No, I'm sorry. When he jammed into 9-9 on like what's the kid's name that got second in the main? Orange hair.
This year?
I don't remember.
God, no, Attenborough.
Oh, Attenborough.
I forgot the hand history.
It was like he had a 9 on a 3 flush board and he turned it into a bluff or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. But like anyway, the funny thing is like he goes and beats a guy for $1 million heads up in a short span of time. And no one's changed their opinion. Suddenly, they still think he sucks somehow. Like, they must think Airball just sucks even worse. But, like, they keeps getting the invites.
Both can be true.
Both can be true. I guess that's true. Airball sucks even more.
I guess that's true. Both can be true, yeah. I mean, what's Airball on, like, a $8 billion downswing or something like that?
Who knows? He's getting cheated nowadays, so it might be a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's tough to define where the downswing begins and ends when, A, you're already losing, you're also getting cheated, and you know you're probably not even tracking your results very well in the end anyway. So
we call that drawing dead.
Yeah, I think we do.
Stone dead. 0 outs in the deck.
So what's your plans for this Wynn series? You firing everything?
Yeah, pretty much. Looking forward to the big 10K next week. 40 million guaranteed.
Wait.
What's that?
You're looking forward to the 10K? You're not looking forward to fucking go for the repeat final table of the prime?
That's true.
Yes.
I am looking forward to that. I've got to defend my 8th place finish.
That's right.
You got it, man.
My
You'd probably be thrilled to get 8th
place
again.
title. Like, honestly, looking back at that final table last year, there are at least a few hands that I'm really unhappy with how I played them, because there was one spot where I lost a hand and I could feel it was like a super frustrating spot where I lost in a really weird way. And I could feel after that, like I made a couple mistakes. So this year, no mistakes. We're going to run good. We're going to win this thing.
If you get eighth place again for like 100K, will you be disappointed? It's 100 times.
No, but like,
But first it's gonna be like a million,
okay,
probably.
Yeah, so like, if you offered me 8th place now, obviously snap take it.
Yeah.
If I get there, if I were to final table it again, and I were to go in with like a decent stack, and I were
Right.
to end up getting 8th again,
Right.
I'd be super annoyed.
It's
Like,
funny because it's like, it's, you know, you're like, well, you get 8th place, would you be upset? It's like, well, how did I get there?
Yeah,
right. Because
that's exactly it.
if I short stacked my way all the way from like 25th place all the way
Right.
to 8th, like, you know what, I did pretty good.
Yeah.
But if you're like chip leader coming in the final table when you get 8th,
and that's what happened last time. That's what
Yeah.
happened last time. I was
Yeah.
like, I was chip leading with like 11 left, and then I just lost one like reasonably big hand, and then another reasonably big hand, and it was like, oh, I got 8th. You know,
What was first last year?
like
700. You can just
700K.
ask Landon because he had 5%.
Oh, that's right, Landon.
This
Landon
fucking
knows.
kid.
What's
Look
5%
at
that.
of
Yeah, right.
700,000?
35.
There you go.
Look at the smirk
knew.
on his face.
Oh, you
Makes
had
me
5% of Steven's song?
Yeah, of course he did.
He makes me sick.
Wait,
did you also have a hunt swap too?
No.
No.
That's why you didn't win,
didn't
Hunt.
have- yeah,
You see?
exactly.
You fucked up, man.
I feel betrayed. Yeah, like, I'm at a final table with someone else, and you have a percent of them, but not of me. They're getting the run good against me. They're getting the Landon swap run good, and
was-
it's hurting me.
He was telling Song exactly how to play against you too.
Yeah, I know, right? I feel so betrayed.
What did you get into this week?
It's funny you should ask. I actually went to LA. I had a personal matter I had to take care of. You know,
Oh my God.
Connie, when you're when you're passionate about something, like you have to go all in.
You left off the Robbie's name with the 2 hearts at the bottom. Like that's my favorite part of this, because like what just like what does he think? Does he think
man.
Robbie's gonna notice him somehow? Like what's going on?
Grapple, you
Listen, when you're in love, you're in love.
I guess so.
you are the absolute goat. This man has been in my DMs and my fucking mentions. He's just posting this shit everywhere. Then he just shows up at Hustler.
Robbie, his Guapo's DMs are open.
Indeed.
But no, like when it
man.
comes to the whole like short stack versus chip lead get 8th, it's just like the awareness of how much money you're losing when you lose it.
Right.
Because your chip stack's worth so much when you're
Yes.
chip leading.
Yeah.
But if you have 10 bigs, your stack's going to be worth a little bit more than what it's worth because of ICM value.
Yeah.
And you know what's also really dumb about that specific final table for me is I was very aware that Steven Song is like he's the best player left, and
He's really good at all ins.
right, and he gets into like a big flip with 9 left, and I'm like sitting on like a medium-ish kind of stack at that point, and I'm just like, man, if Steven loses this is really good from my EV.
Yeah,
it's bad
and
for
then
me.
he just wins it, takes the chip lead, and wins the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, come on, Steven Song.
Well,
How
you-
good do you run?
Well, I mean, if you knew Landon had 5%, you just knew who's.
Oh
gonna
yeah,
win.
I mean, I would if I'd known that in advance, I would have just not even sweated it because
Yeah.
Steven's obviously winning. Right. But like, yeah, it's crazy.
All right, so we got a bunch of shit to talk about today, guys.
We do.
But, you know, before we get into the game of gold, before we get into the drama, we got a new Poker Out Loud episode that just dropped.
We do.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. And we played the stand-up game in it.
Oh man, that was fun. It was a lot of fun. I wish I hadn't been like super tired so I could actually think during it. But yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. It made me wish that there was a way. Like I love the stand-up game, but I don't like playing live cash, and I definitely don't like having to try to get into like private games or whatever. So it made me wish there was a way to play the stand-up game in tournaments, but that's never gonna happen.
No, I don't think
God.
Let's give him a little taste.
We're not playing a normal poker game here. Now we're playing a stand-up game.
Everyone has incentive to win hands faster because there's a penalty at the end of the game.
This is very out of line and very devious.
All right, we'll see you at the river, young man.
I think it's just a blunder, honestly, opening this hand with 2 just absolute monkeys in the blinds.
I mean, I think the simplest way to get through this hand right now is to just rip it.
Someone's just gonna fuck me up, so I actually have to play a lot tighter here under the gun.
Mamma mia.
Fucking stand-up game.
This is a stand-up game great. 2 MTT wizards, finding ways to put 100 blinds in with ace-9.
It's more fun now that I know that it's like fine to just stuff.
We're gonna peel, and we're gonna pray.
Fuck.
I'm gonna need more chips so I can give everybody chips.
It only cost me everything.
Stand up.
Yeah.
Stand up is on. Oh, we've been doing it already? Stand up's been on the whole time?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? You just always play sixes that way.
I was playing it regular.
I got replaced.
Everybody, go head over to S4Y.io. Check out the new Poker Out Loud. It's popping. They played the stand-up game. Hunt, like, what did you feel? How did you feel about playing the stand-up game during Poker Out Loud?
Yes, I really enjoyed it. It adds such a great dynamic to the game, where you're constantly figuring out new strategies on the fly. And I think one thing that makes it really fun is everybody having different incentives to like how much they have to try to win the hand based on whether they're already standing up or sitting down or whatever. Because it really just creates some fun dynamics. So yeah, it was fun to play it. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting the chance to do it again on Poker Out Loud.
I don't see a possibility of it not happening again.
It has to. We gotta do it again. It was too much fun.
It just makes poker fun.
It really does.
Did you guys actually have to stand up?
No.
I was going to
Thankfully
say,
not.
because that's probably going to be a nightmare
production was like, nope, we're not doing
We
that.
just had like a chip that we used as like a marker for who's standing up and who's sitting down.
And that happens a lot in regular games too, I think.
Yeah, there was no reason to force people to actually stand up.
Right, yeah.
All right.
Well, it's different from the stories that we've heard from Matt in the live environment. When people stand up, way different, right? Because people really want to sit down.
Right.
Yeah.
Like part of the punishment of the stand-up game is having to be
stand.
on your feet.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like imagine having to stand for like an hour.
Yeah.
You're gonna
While
try to
you're
win
playing.
some pots.
You just gotta.
Some light 3 bets, light 4 bets.
You gotta get in there. You gotta show a little bit of life. You know, you can't just be.
That's why Matt keeps getting invites back. He's really good at being in the stand-up game.
And what I also like is that it's super. It's like almost impossible to brain solve effectively. You know, like you kind of look at it, and there were spots where I was like, well, I think I'm supposed to do this. Like, I feel like I probably am, but I don't know how wide my range is supposed to be. Like, I don't know how much I'm supposed to try to like go super hard to win the pot now. And I definitely feel like looking back at it, I made mistakes in what I assumed to be the right strategy about how to play the stand-up game. Like, I didn't go hard enough in the early hands to try to win the hands before everybody else, like before you get down to the last few people of the stand-up game. So I was just left in a lot of spots where it's like me and one other person are still standing up and I need to win the next hand. And it was like me and them going heads up. And it was just like, you just have to like be all in and hope they don't have anything. Like it was wild. I think I jammed there was a spot where I 4-bet jammed for like an insane amount of big blinds against Nick Howard. Like I think I jammed like ace-9 for like 350 bigs or something just because I had to win the pot. So it was like just insane spots happening. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
How much was the penalty?
It was like five big blinds
blinds
each or something. I can't remember specifically, but it was a decent penalty.
Enough to 4-bet jam ace 9 for 350.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. I guess it was like a spot where, I mean, I don't remember the specifics, but people can go check out the footage and see the spot.
That's right.
Absolutely. So you haven't been here in about a week, right?
Yeah,
About a week ago.
I haven't. Yeah, about a week or so. Yeah.
So obviously, you don't know that there's a new cheating scandal going on.
I'm pretty like I kind of am keeping up to date. Like every time Berkey posts something in our group chat about it, I'm like reading it, right?
Okay.
So I'm reading our group chat.
Okay.
I have the gist of it, but I definitely am not. I don't know the specifics, and I barely remember the names of everybody involved.
All right, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown.
All right.
For what I got. So yesterday or a couple days ago, it came out that Airball and Wesley have been cheated in a home game. This home game apparently took place on like October 14th or something like that. It's come out that this man Mars is the one that cheated the game. Allegedly cheated the game. And he was, he basically had a UV deck in the game. Is it UV or? Basically,
or like
invisible ink.
Yeah, an invisible ink
wow,
deck
so
in
it's
the
like
game.
old school cheating, invisible ink.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff is just keep coming out, and everybody just keeps talking, and there's spaces in Chinese, and there's so much going on that
Oh, we're doing spaces again.
But in Chinese too.
Oh my
it's
God.
not even in English this time. It's all in Chinese.
Wow.
So it's been a little hard to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, I can imagine. Wow.
Weren't there like 500 people in the spaces? And I'm sure most of them don't know how to speak Mandarin.
I want to know how many people went to Google and hit Google Translate and just put it up against their computer.
You need like a universal translator thing, like a real time, like a little ear device that you put in to listen to the Chinese language spaces.
It'll probably be out in a couple years because of Elon.
Oh yeah, I mean it's probably like the Google employees probably already have one. You know?
I don't have that much dedication. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I mean I
don't even listen to the spaces when they're in English.
Yeah, I haven't listened to a Twitter space in a long time. Like we had that phase back after the heads up match where like everything was being hashed out in Twitter spaces, it seemed.
That was fun.
And now it's all like it died, and now it's like trying to come back, but I don't think people are going to be able to make it come back. Like, not the way it did before.
All right, so we went through about what happened basically the last couple of days. Last night, Brownballa, Ishan, went to Twitter and...
The most honorable man in LA.
Most honorable man in LA. Went to Twitter.
Wait a minute, who crowned him this?
Me.
Oh, okay.
I don't really think it's true, but...
What do you just hate? You just hate LA or what?
I do hate LA, and I hate 98% of the people in it.
Okay.
Damn.
But
it's a big place. 2% is a lot.
Yeah, Ishan.
For
some reason, I kind of like Ishan. So anyway, he came out with this tweet that Landon's going to read for us.
Hey everyone, so I'm going to weigh in on my perspective on the Mars scandal. So I didn't play much in the Chinese home games, but I did a couple times. There was one time when I lost 100K, where in retrospect, it's extremely likely I was cheated. It was a big straddle pot, the 800 was on, where another player opened like 3K, one call in the middle, and I squeezed kings to 14K on the button. So-called whale that Mars later stacked in a different hand that made no sense, cold called, and the opener folded. Flop is queen 8 deuce rainbow. He donks for 12K. I jam 35 and he calls and has 8 deuce of hearts. I was suspicious, but since the whale dusted his 200K stack to Mars later, I just assumed that he was a mega whale and didn't know what he was doing.
Beluga.
Yeah. The golden goose, if you will. At the time, I didn't consider they could have been cheating together. I talked to other players that know the so-called whale since, and that they told me he's extremely tight. Mars defending himself by denying the allegations and trying to defame Wes in return leaves an extremely bad taste in my mouth. We all considered Mars our friend, and this entire situation is very disheartening. Okay, number one, these people aren't your friends. Let's start there. Like, I'm someone that calls people my friends. I'm done with that.
Well,
nobody's my friend anymore.
Well, that's because what we did to you. We beat it into you that nobody was your friend.
You're right. You know,
we absolutely beat it into you.
It's a cold world out here.
Yeah. What have you done to this kid? What have you done to this kid?
I've become more jaded, man.
Of a couple of years.
We've helped them, man.
They've helped me. They've helped me become more cold and distant.
Your only friends are in this room.
So everybody's going off on Twitter. This is Brownballer's tweet right here. Seems pretty interesting, that especially since everybody's saying that this guy plays tight normally.
Yeah, suspect, huh?
And then he just finds the 8 deuce of hearts, you know, whatever.
That does feel like I understand people taking note of that, right? Because when someone just does something that seems wildly out of place for what they normally do, it does sort of set off an alarm bell of some kind when something like that happens. It's like, well, he did something that he would never normally do, and then he got massively rewarded for it. Like that's weird. You know what I mean? Like I can understand being suspicious of that.
It sounds like tournament poker.
This next,
yeah, I guess so. That's true.
I'm joking.
So this next tweet storm is from Blank Check Ben. And basically,
he was actually the opener in the hand.
Yes.
So Ben tweeted, I was in this hand. I was the player who opened raised ace queen off. After Ishan 3-bet and the whale cold called, I folded because they didn't have enough behind. The flop was queen 8 deuce rainbow, and Ishan stacks off with kings versus 8 deuce. They probably didn't think I'd fold ace queen after opening from the hijack, so I got away. But one orbit later, something even crazier happened. Dun dun dun. Dun, dun, dun. Cue the suspense. He says, shortly after the Brownballa got felted, I was dealt 6-4 of spades in the small blind. Whale opens to 1,000, 3 calls, I call. Flop comes 7-5-3 rainbow. I check. The whale bets 3,000 and the 5,000. I check raise to 30,000. Okay, that's a lot. Whale snap jams 150,000 without thinking. I call. He tables 8s. So, for context, Blank Check Ben has flopped the joint and is up against overpair. I asked to run twice. He says no. Turn 6, river 4. I quit the game after that.
So, two things about these two tweets that I kind of just put together immediately. Well, if this was a cheated situation, both of them, they're doing it pretty smart. Using bad hands and just like, yeah, sure, flop the nuts, but whatever. They're not like, it's not an aces versus kings or like something along those, like a very obvious setup where you're just like, oh, fuck. It's more like, this guy just fucked me. And it's just like using like hands that, you know, you just wouldn't immediately suspect this person's cheating.
Yeah, I think that the thing that is difficult about this spot is how do you make, like, let's say this was a rigged hand, right? How do you make sure that somebody in between the player with 8s and the player with 6-4 suited doesn't 3-bet and cause 6-4 suited to fold, right? Like, you can't guarantee it's going to go raise, call, 6-4 suited calls. 6-4 suited might end up folding for some reason.
You can if you rig all the hands.
I mean, yeah, but then you still have to like know every individual player well enough to know, like, okay, this guy's going to call with this hand. He's never going to 3-bet it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that can go wrong, basically.
Funny you say that, because Haralabob did say if you're going to cooler and cold deck someone, it seems a bit rich to hope they're going to call the small blind with 6-4 suited.
Yeah.
They must have known the customer pretty well.
Yeah, it's more, I feel like it's more just like there's so many individual little things that have to go right for that cooler to actually happen the way you want it to happen.
That's true.
But you know what? What do you lose?
That's true.
You lose nothing. If it doesn't go correct and
that's
whatever,
true. It is kind of a free roll.
Try again. Yeah. And guess what? I bet you there's a fucking draw with 10 other set decks in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like,
you're probably right.
It's just like one of those things. It's like, you know, whatever. It's just a free roll.
Look, Conrad protects me in these streets, man. I trust Conrad on these things.
Yeah. Like, it's just a complete free roll.
Cheating is a free roll.
I'm like, oh, look, here's a great home game I get to play. Conrad's like, you're not leaving the house. You're staying home.
He's like chaining you to the radiator to stop you going and play a home game. Yeah.
This is not a thing. Nobody's inviting you to play this fucking game, Landon.
They probably should. I would keep playing. I would have the ego to keep playing.
It is true. And you'd blast right off into them.
Like we said last time, like the pros are the people that actually are the marks in these spots. Because if you see hands, like if I saw hands like this, I'd be like, if I play this game long enough, of course I'm going to win all the money. But in reality, I'm never going to win all the money.
Landon's like, how did I run ace-5 suited into aces 4 times? They know
their customer. They just keep giving me ace-5 suited deuces. Yeah. They're like, man, it was king 6-4. Yeah. How do you call with fucking 5th pair?
God, it'd be
I had
so
6
easy.
pair.
It'd be so easy to cheat you. Ace-5 deuces, you would never know. You'd be like, oh man, I just ran really bad.
Give him the hands you just never
You're playing like a 4-hour session, and like half the hands you're getting dealt are ace-5 suited or deuces.
I keep getting ace-5 suited in the big blind versus the button open. What keeps happening here? Crazy, isn't it?
Down bad.
They start inducing like ace-jack off. Like, I'm going to 4-bet call.
Yeah. So guys, I don't know what the fuck to think. Everybody's throwing shit at the wall right now. There were spaces with this girl named Rena questioning Mars last night, and
was it in Chinese?
There's like
Zio. I mean, half of it was in Chinese, half of it was in English.
Screenshots. Yeah, here we go. Screenshots of text messages in Chinese, Mandarin, or whatever it is.
I don't know who got this, who is on the other side of it, or what the fuck is going on here. But we have this image that's basically translated to Tony being Mars saying, "You can't play like that. It looks so bad. You can only do this once a night." And the other person responds, "Okay." And then Mars says, "Stop showing shitty hands." So, like, this, if you are running a cheat and you have somebody else at the table and they're doing things like this, you know, I mean, this is a text message that would make a lot of sense. But how the fuck does this person have it?
Yeah, what the hell?
It's supposed to be between a cheat, whoever's ringmastering the cheat, which is Tony in this case, and the other person in on it. So, like, I don't know how this would get leaked anywhere.
Why didn't they just have like the actual like?
They took the time to actually do this.
Yeah, the screenshot like as it is, and then a separate image of the translation.
I would be like, obviously I don't speak any Chinese, but like I would be wary about the translations here, right? Because it's so easy for someone to just put up a fake translation.
That's true too.
And have a bunch of people who don't speak Chinese just interpret it in whatever way they want.
You would think that someone that speaks Chinese
you would think
would
but
debunk
like,
that really quick.
But I don't know. But like, maybe they haven't seen this. You know, like you don't know.
That's
like
true.
it's so easy for a message to get out
Wait
there.
a minute. I have an emergency.
Hold on a second. I've seen. You know when you go to concerts and there's someone on the side like doing sign language for people that.
Oh, you talking about Waka Flocka?
Well, no, I'm saying people have been hired by the government to like go do these things and they don't even like make sure that this person actually knows sign language.
Right,
Like, people
I've
have
seen
gone
that.
viral
Just
for
fake,
just like
fake sign
bullshitting.
language. Yeah.
Look,
That's sick.
I missed my calling when I was in middle school. I took Mandarin for 3 years.
Oh wow.
And then in high school, I dropped it. And I could have been really useful in this time.
Yeah,
It could have been.
But
Drop the
now,
ball.
I got nothing.
Don't
Yeah.
worry, I took like 6 years of Spanish. I still can't tell you like anything.
I took 4 years of Russian, so we've all got weird languages. Or not. Well, Spanish is a weird language.
No,
but,
I was
yeah.
like, I need to use a language or go for a language that people use.
Yeah,
you know?
I took Russian for 4 years, and then it was like 10 years between finishing taking Russian and actually going to Russia, and I'd forgotten it all by the time I actually went to Russia, so it was completely useless.
End of Blank Check's tweet storm. He says at about 5 a.m., Nick Airball calls me and tells me that the whale has been felted and lost all the Mars in one of the last hands of the night. I called Mars and the other game host the next day and apologized for overreacting. So it seems like the classic trope here is the whale scams someone, whether it's Ishan or like Blank Check, and then loses it in a big pot to Mars, and now the whale. But like the weird thing in my brain is he doesn't need to lose it back to Mars.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Well,
It makes it look like he's not cheating.
Yes, it completes the circle.
Yeah.
So the only reason why he got that text from Blank Check is because he lost the money to Mars.
But it's not the whale's game, right? It's Mars's game.
It doesn't matter. It's like what they're trying to say. They're not trying to like. If they think that this man is cheating, they don't think Mars is cheating. Like.
They
think
trust
the guy
Mars.
They think the guy that's in the hand is cheating, not the guy that's running the game.
Right, so they trust Mars, and when he loses all his money to Mars, he's like, well, he must not have been cheating. He lost all his money to Mars.
They're like giving him high fives and shit. You got him, man. You got him. You know, like which one of those type of situations.
Right. I feel like it's like like you say, it completes the circle. It's their way of maintaining their cover by making sure that like he's coming out of the game losing money.
Yep.
So how can you accuse someone of cheating when he lost X amount of dollars in the game?
Exactly. So it's just like it just ties the bow on it. Exactly. You know, because like your eyes are taking it's smoke and mirrors basically, because your eyes are taken somewhere else where the cheat is over here.
Yeah.
But you don't realize.
Allegedly.
Alleged. This is all alleged. We don't know anything. We don't know anything.
We don't. Yeah, we really don't.
We're just speculating. Half of the shit's in Chinese. What do you want from me?
Wait a minute. Okay, we have a new asset. This is like, I'm not going to call it a Landon service announcement, but Matt just posted this in the podcast assets chat, Guapo. It's a tweet from Wesley.
Oh.
Wesley says, basically, Mars called me and admitted everything, including he's a cheater, and their cheating syndicate is now very mad. They're going to leave the U.S. today, threaten me, delete all the tweets about them. Otherwise, they're going to kill me.
Jeez.
Mars says he wants to save my life and going to go back to China. Other members are going to leave the U.S. today, find Mafia to kill me. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Armand is now dealing Baccarat in Wynn. So does their
cheating? So their cheating group is there. Mars, Dacia Henderson. My friend got scammed $3 million. Now they want to kill me. I'm not scared. I'll call the police. I have all voice recording that can prove that. Justice will prevail over evil. I'm going to give all my evidence to the police. #justice.
Wow.
Oh, this is very interesting. So
real serious.
Yeah. So basically, earlier today, I'm pretty sure Wesley went up and posted Mars's acquaintances in this cheating scandal, which is one being this man, Armand, I believe his name is.
Alno is his name.
Okay.
He's the guy that works at the Wynn?
I thought he was a pro tournament player, but I guess he deals Baccarat at the Wynn now. That's what they're saying. I don't know.
You know, it's so hard. I believe this is Dacia, I'm guessing. Like, it's so hard to put this all together, and like just from like the little bits and nibbles that we get. But it seems like they had a nice little group running, and I don't know what he's talking about. Cheating syndicate, talking about killing. Like, this seems really weird to me.
I feel like this has now become above our pay grade. This is
agree.
Now at the point where we just don't know what's going on.
Actually,
the police are involved. Like,
I think we should all just shut up now because I don't think we want the mafia coming after us.
Yeah,
now.
I'm starting to feel that way too.
I'd like to go on record saying that there's no fucking mafia. behind this.
Okay,
probably.
just so the mafia knows, I believe that you guys are very real. Leave me out of this, please.
No, this doesn't sound right. This shit doesn't add up.
And also my wife is Italian, so don't, I am
100% Italian.
We're on your side.
Guys,
Brian's
they are
Italian.
not- this is not the Italian mob, okay?
I know.
Will be some triads.
I'm just saying, if there's any mob out there that has any interest, we got Italian connections. We're fine.
We are not the droids you're looking for.
Exactly. We have been saying allegedly this whole time.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. So I don't know, man. There's so much shit going on. I don't even know how to wrap this up to a sentence.
I don't know.
We can move on.
Let's.
Imagine the mob's going out for a hit and they're like, oh wait, they said allegedly. Cancel it.
They're reasonable guys. Come on.
God.
It's fucking great. Basically, I guess we're gonna see some more from this story. Yeah. Stay alive, Wes. But we got some game of gold to jump into. We have hand histories.
We got hand histories.
It's time to get into it. Landy, what do you got for us?
What I got is in the podcast chat. Now, Guapo, help me.
Guapo, what do you got for us?
I got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, I looked through the Game of Gold episode 10 because I don't think we went over that one, and there was a lot more heads-up stuff going on there. And you know me, a very big heads-up enjoyer.
What, you didn't want to go over some Indian poker hand histories,
No, but there's definitely some form of theory crafting that has to go on there, where it's like you want to polarize in some spots you want to have more.
Yeah, I you know what I thought was actually one thing that I thought was interesting for the Indian poker is that I thought it was very smart of the Game of Gold producers to put in the element of if you get someone to fold an ace, they lose half their chips.
Yes,
because
that's kind of cool.
Because if they didn't do that, what would happen is anytime you see that your opponent has an ace, you just auto fold, and you have no reason to put a single chip in the pot, right? So I think they knew that that's what would happen, and they created that element as a reason to try to get people off an ace. And I think that was like the driving force of the Indian poker, I think.
Definitely.
But this hand was interesting, actually. This is a good one to start with.
Yeah, so I looked at all the hands and I went through either some of the interesting ones that go post-flop or some of the pre-flop ones that I think are just pretty quick, scrapes at strategy where you don't have to do much. It's kind of low-hanging fruit, if you will. So this one, single raise pot. Robin opens, DW calls, and then Robin goes for the C-bet.
He goes big on this flop. The guys in the back, like Charlie and the others, seemed really surprised by this.
Full pot.
But I feel like full pot on this board seems fine to me. It kind of seems like it's at least not bad because of the fact that there's a bunch of stuff that's kind of in an awkward spot against that side.
There's some draws, but most of the bigger bet spots are going to be like Ace Broadway with a flush draw. Ace 7-8, I would probably go and lean on a half pot strategy, but it kind of is what it is.
But it's not like a small bet spot though, right? Because I feel like that feels to me like it's not fantastic.
It doesn't feel like much of a small bet spot. I'm sure you can get away with it, but I would go for a bigger size as well. Pot seems like a little bit too much, but if it was like Ace 10, 7 flush draw, I'd go bigger.
Okay, seems fine.
It's the spots where you have the two pairs where the big blind doesn't. Right, like on the board, Ace Queen 8, the big blind's always going to 3-bet queens.
Yeah,
and
that
Queen.
makes sense. He can have some two pairs here.
Yep. So then DW goes for the check. Robin checks back, very standard.
And then the river is really interesting.
Is this on slow speed? This is on slow mo.
I slowed it down a little bit.
Charlie kind of corrected himself at the end because he realized that Robin can have a 10. But yeah, I think DW going for a check raise here is probably really good because I think a lot of Robin's gut shots and stuff that bets the flop has a 10 in it, and obviously he can have a lot of 10s that he just is going to always bet when checked to. So I feel like check raise feels pretty good here.
Yeah, I think check raise is okay. I think block is also on the table too.
Yeah, that feels kind of good as well.
Because 10x is always going to raise.
Yeah.
Ace X that checks back can sometimes raise as well. Because DW is going to want to value bet 8x.
Yeah.
Some of the time.
You know what? I really like that. I think I like block with the intent to 3-bet jam. I think that's really cool.
Block 3-bet's pretty nice. I think check raise is fine. Just kind of depends on your preference. But I think I would lean block as I don't touch the pairs on the board.
Let me ask you a question. If you have a feeling that he has an ace, let's just say your thought is that Robin has an ace here. Do you think check raise is better because you think he'll be sticky on with calling?
I'm not sure in the sense of how much he's going to call facing a raise, but an ace definitely has to go for value on the end.
Yes.
So check raise definitely is a very viable option. I just don't know if you want to use a hand like a straight where you unblock the 10, or you want to block with the hand, or you want to check with the hand like a 10 in it, because he's still going to value bet an ace himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Robin goes for the bet here with king 8, which I think is
Thin.
it's very thin because he chops with 8x.
Yeah.
So he's targeting small pairs like deuces, threes, fours, fives,
7x
sixes, and
as well.
7x as well. So it does seem relatively thin. Maybe I think I would check back. I think I go for a check back here.
I think it feels like when you...
The king is bad too.
Right. I think if the river is just like a deuce, I think you can easily value bet this hand. But I think like when you now chop and your kicker doesn't even play, like you don't really have much reason to target a worse 8.
Right, and you also reopen yourself to having stuff like this happen, or you reopen the action, and you also block the king high calls that DW can have, right? Because king queen's not a bad hand for him to call with, as he just has high card and doesn't block some of the trash that Robin is gonna see bet with, and then try to go for like a cheap stab on the river for a half pot. Yeah. So anyways, that hand's over. Next hand we got.
I mean, if he's betting an 8, that seems pretty. If he's betting all his pairs, calling with the king high would kind of suck, right?
Well, if he's betting with an 8, calling with king high can still be reasonable because you're not really blocking some of the hands that Robin's going to have, like call it 4 or 5.
All right, okay.
Right, because like he's going to have some hands that don't want to just always double barrel the turn.
Yeah.
And then like your king highs don't interfere with the garbage.
Right, and this is one of the hardest parts of heads up, just recognizing that when your opponent's range includes stuff like he can have like 9-5 offsuit, right? Like he can have so much random shit that has gut shots and stuff that could bet the flop with that size. There's a lot of other considerations now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Alrighty, moving on. Hand number 2. We have Robin opens the button. DW calls big blind and goes for a lead. Lead here. He goes for big lead too.
Lead big. This feels weird.
Yeah, this is why this hand's in the...
Especially with this hand.
Do you like this board to be leading on 9-8-6?
So it's this stuff is different when it's heads up than
9-6-5. Sorry.
Yeah. So this board we can pause on turn. So this board's gonna be a lot different heads up than it is going to be in a spot like button big blind or cut off big blind in an MTT, right? Because ranges are so wide that nobody's like the big blind's not going to be that.
They don't have that much advantage.
They don't have that much of an advantage because the opener's going to have a lot of garbage too.
Yeah.
Right. So in the button in spots where it's like button versus big blind or cutoff versus big blind, the big blind's going to defend really wide and have these middling cards, where the cutoff's not going to have these kind of like 7-8 off trashy hands that open pre-flop most of the time.
But so in this predicament, you would say that 9-6-5 really isn't a lead.
I don't think it's a lead spot.
All right. Actually, with you saying that, is there any leads really in heads up then? It seems like there can't be.
On flops, less so in single raise pots, but there is a bunch of leads on some turn changing cards.
I can see turn being a heavy lead spot, but like flop seems like it shouldn't be led at all, really.
Right. Leads don't happen a lot when both ranges are pretty wide. You know, leads are going to happen when one range is fairly wide and the other range is a bit more condensed, or it's a little bit more concentrated in the area that interacts with the board. So yeah, there's not going to be a ton of leading in these spots, especially at depth.
Like a spot like 9-6-5, you might have some leads when it's button or big blind versus hijack in an MTT, where the hijack's going to have a lot of offsuit Broadway that don't really connect very well. But this spot's nothing like that.
Just everybody's too wide.
Yeah, and then he goes for the double. Like this hand, it doesn't really function very well with this hand.
Yeah, it's super weird. Like,
does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
On flop, like on flop, you honestly almost get called by worse more often than you get better to fold. And then on turn, it like, I don't know, other than the fact that we have the queen of diamonds, I don't really know what purpose this hand serves as a bluff on the turn.
You're blocking the hand that you want him to have.
You're blocking the stuff that you're trying to get to fold, you know?
And like, and it's funny because like when you have king queen, guess what? He has your hand.
Right. and then like I think he gives up on the river here, right? Or does he?
Yeah, he gives up. It goes check.
Yeah. So like it just feels like if you're gonna go 2 streets with this hand and then you get here with king queen high, like you just sort of have to commit and blast off, you know?
It's a weird one because on the flop and turn, you kind of get everything better to continue and everything worse to fold. So you're kind of doing like reverse value bet type stuff.
Yeah.
So on the end, I'm kind of scared of the range that does call twice.
Yeah.
As it's always going to be connected towards some sort of draw or some sort of pair.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to get hands that have some form of equity to start folding.
Yeah. I guess it's like, it just depends, I suppose, once you get to this point, depends on whether you think, because there's so much like 6-7, 6-8, 5-7, 5-8, all that stuff.
Yeah.
If you think he's gonna fold all of those bluff catches, there's probably enough that you can get away with bluffing. But if you think he's prone to essentially heroing you with that stuff, then when you combine that with the fact that you just lose to a 9 or a straight or whatever, you're just getting wrecked by bluffing this.
Right. It's kind of weird tripling off here because, like, what card are you betting on river? Yeah. Like, the Jack through Ace is supposed to hit his range as you're leading 9-6-5 or whatever the hell it was. And like what hand? You're getting called on 6-5, 9-9. So if a deuce peels off, you don't want to fucking triple it off. So it's like, how would you ever like even continue with the triple here?
You're figuring out the reasons of why lead that makes no sense and heads up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
You're just leading into an uncapped range where Robin doesn't really have to take any aggressive actions yet. As you look at the SPR, if the SPR is like 1.3, so if David does check and Robin has a hand like, call it Queen 8, right? He's just going to go all in here and represent the 9, where he doesn't have to raise a 9 on the turn.
And I think this is a really good example of why it's generally not a good idea to take like what you might call like a fuck around weird line on flops and turns. Like when you take disincentivized lines on an earlier street, it just leads you into no man's land on later streets. You know, you just get into river spots where it's like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be bluffing here because I'm not even supposed to get here with any frequency. You know? So in this particular spot, like if you just put me in David's spot on that river, I don't know what my bluffs are supposed to be because I'm not supposed to get there in that line.
Right.
And Villain's range for calling twice against the lead is not supposed to exist because the lead's not supposed to happen. So it's really hard to brain solve that spot, and you're just going to get yourself into more difficult spots and end up like check folding in a spot where you just torch a bunch of chips.
Yeah, it's just like there's just no river. Like when you just get there, it's like there's just literally no river that you can think about that's like you want to bluff.
I think that he was probably just going to bluff a diamond. Like I think if I had to try to interpret his logic, I would say he probably was looking at it saying, I have the queen of diamonds. When the river comes a diamond, I'm going to bluff. If it doesn't come a diamond or a king or a queen, I'm going to shut down.
Only problem with this logic is it never leads. Flush draws never lead flop.
Exactly. Like,
so
you're still leading into a range that contains a shitload of flush draws.
Yep.
So sometimes it just comes a diamond and you just get wrecked anyway. So like it's kind of difficult, you know.
Yep. Next hand. Good job, guys. We figured out why leading is bad. DW goes for the raise. Lucas goes for the call. Seems like very standard stuff. Like these hands, you don't want to 3-bet the 7-4 suited type stuff. You mostly want to use polar offsuit kind of things, 40 effective.
Especially at this depth, like it really sucks to 3-bet these hands and then get jammed on. And
it doesn't serve you very well.
When you say polar offsuit stuff, like ace deuce off and
ace deuce, queen 4, king 5,
high card, low card blocker stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
The bottom left corner of that range grid.
Yep. Okay.
The stuff that people never 3-bet in their lives.
What's a range grid?
The grid of the hands that you look at.
He's trolling.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Oh, right. I'm so easy to get with trolling. Like.
Okay, so pause it for a second. So anyways, DW goes for a C-bet. I would arrange C-bet as DW. And then Lucas goes for a check raise with the 7-4, which I think is a little bit ambitious. You probably want to use a little bit of a different combo.
It feels like you want to have some connectivity. Like you want to have 6-4 for a backdoor gutter, something like that. 7-4 just feels like a little too wide.
Something like 10-9 that blocks his jacks and you can just like peel off an 8 or a 7 and have some fucking YOLO value.
Yeah.
Good hand here to check raise. The hand's like king 3 suited with a backdoor. You try to get some better king highs to fold, some ace highs to be upset later.
Those are some spicy ones.
But yeah, you actually play a high frequency check raise on these paired boards because you're just trying to fight for the high cards to fold. Anyway, so turns a deuce. That's a good card for Lucas, right? Because he's going to check raise a lot of deuce X here for protection and value. But here we are with no equity, no draw. So I would mostly want to check this one and then bluff with spades. Give yourself a chance to win with a flush draw.
Yeah.
I think I would just check this one. I'm okay with giving it up. But he goes for the double barrel. I'm not sure. I wouldn't. Maybe it's in there, but my read would be no.
Yeah, I feel like it's also kind of bad having 2 hearts here because David is going to bet call some backdoor hearts on the flop, and now you don't want to have those.
Yep, I think like 7-4 spades here. If you have like just flop check raise, I think turn barrel is good. Like you can still beat some ace highs on the end, still make some pairs and still win, still get some queen high, king highs to fold.
Yeah.
But we're asking for a lot at this point. And then DW calls with the ace high. I think this is relatively standard. Smallish bet. Andy's enjoying that food over there.
Looks pretty good.
It does. Listen. River 10 of clubs. I'm definitely scared now to find a river fire after call. It's hard to find the correct bluffs here.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Like it's really hard to know what kind of blockers you want to have. Like, because the spades, theoretically, having spades is bad now.
Right.
But then if you don't bluff with spades, like, what do you still have left to bluff with?
It's one of those spots where it's so narrow where you might have to use the smallish spades, like 3-4 of spades. Just go for it, right? Try to get some better spades to fold.
Yeah.
I
also think, like,
and
I kind of feel like when you have your 8 highs and below and stuff like that here, the stuff that's, or 9 high and below, like the stuff that's just playing the board, it really, really sucks to check that stuff and then lose to like king, queen of spades or something. So I wonder if maybe some of these 7 highs and 8 highs, when you do get here, like maybe you are supposed to bluff them. I don't know.
It feels like you have to. You just like flipping over 7 highs, that hurts.
Yeah,
let's talk about this river bet by DW.
I think he checks. Does he?
No, he bets 40K. He bets 40K into 840.
This is like a live pro.
This
weird
is
thing.
so live reg shit.
5% pot in position.
Snap check. Bro's making up information on the internet.
There was a hand where he did that, though.
Classic Conrad.
I could have sworn I was just watching bet 40K.
There was a hand where he did that. There was one hand where he bet super small.
I thought I literally just watched him bet 40K in the river. I can't breathe right now.
Bro is blind.
Oh man, that's so good.
Bro is blind. Okay, next hand.
I got to reverse. Hold on.
Next hand. Someone help him.
But if he did bet 40K,
it would be bad.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was on the flop. It was 140. I thought we were at the river.
Yeah, he did good. He range bet one big blind.
It went back. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
You're good. So it goes limp check here. Queen 6 is actually one of those spicy hands you might be able to jam for like 23 bigs. There's like this magic square. It's like king 5, king 6, queen 5, queen 6.
Offsuit.
I see that sometimes. Like I see like
we call it the magic square.
There's already a name for it. Wow.
Magic square.
I'm so behind the times. I'm behind the times because I didn't know about the magic square of queen 6 off.
Listen, nobody knows what the fuck Landon's ever talking about. All right, he makes up these things every day. He wakes
Says the guy that made up a 40K bet on the river.
He makes up these new jargon every day, or he gets it from pads, one or the other, and he just runs with it.
Yeah.
Did you get that one from pads?
Magic square? No, it was Ewan actually.
Pads adjacent.
It's always some Euro influence.
Some British guy. Yeah.
I just run around with the Brits these days.
Yeah.
Toby might have said it. So Robin goes for limp here. I like limp. These aren't hands you don't want to raise that much this deep because they're only 20-something effective, and you want to be able to limp call effectively. So DW with the check is fine too. You don't always have to jam, but I think it gets in there a little bit. Flop check. Robin goes for the one big blind bet, which I think is good because David's going to have a lot of the garbage hands that aren't going to want to bet himself. Robin goes for the double on the ace, which I think is good. Because sometimes, we can pause it for a second, sometimes you actually want to have like trashy low card nonsense in order to have enough of a frequency to barrel the turn.
It's the fold unblockers. You know, you're unblocking the king high stuff like the. Well, actually, king high is probably still calling the turn, but like you're unblocking like the 10x stuff, like the
10-8 gutters.
10-8 gutters, yeah, exactly. Some of that stuff, some of the backdoor stuff.
I mean, that's like almost the only hand that really folds, though.
9-8.
10-8, 9-8.
10-8, 9-8.
You got to be pretty wide here.
Can we just delay to the river here?
Because we're going to want to value bet our ace X as well. And it goes limp check.
Yeah.
So we're going to want to value bet ace X. We don't want to check queen X and still bet jack X
and
as well.
the other thing as well is that you don't want to just auto bet all your king X and 10X here on the turn, because when you have king high and you bet
showdown value.
Right, exactly. When you have king high and you bet this turn, a lot of the time you don't actually get anything better to fold. So you kind of have to bet your 10X, but then also some other random trashy bluffs.
Yep. And then, so in this spot, DW goes for the call on the turn. Very standard. Can't fold the queen here. It's just too good, and ace X isn't really that likely for Lucas on the button. He's going to have some, right? But some of them are going to raise pre, some of them are going to limp trap.
He's going to limp aces on the button?
He shouldn't. But he's going to have some like ace X suited. He's going to limp some ace X offsuit, like ace queen offsuit.
He's going to go for some limp raises.
He's going to go for some limp jams. You don't play
limp jams.
Yeah, so like at this depth, you only play limp jam.
Yeah,
you don't play limp 3-bet because your best hands are going to want to raise.
No, yeah, of course.
So then Lucas on the river bets. How much does he bet?
400K.
He bets 400K into 500. I think this is a good size. He's repping a king. He's repping a straight.
Putting the jack in a tough spot.
Jack is mad. Queen can be mad. right? And David has to call pretty wide here, just because of the way that the ranges function.
Do you ever find yourself with an overbet here?
No. I think I would go for a size that still lets me value bet some. I don't think I would overbet. I think the reason an overbet would function would be like on a brick river where you're repping a jack.
Mm-hmm.
Where in this spot, like David can just have a straight too much.
Okay.
It's usually a really good rule of thumb is like it's hard to overbet when a draw gets there. Like it's really hard to just pile it in now because there's always going to be some portion of hands that improved, and those hands are just going to never fold.
Especially four-liners.
Right, exactly. So for the most part, going with like more moderate sizes on those boards works well because then the stuff that didn't improve is now in a tougher spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So DW has a tough bluff catch and found it. It's probably in there a little bit. It makes a lot of sense to me because you can't only call here with a straight.
Right.
Because if you only call with a straight, you're not calling enough.
Yeah.
You just don't have a straight enough of the time to face bet to not find calls with other portions of your range.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
And you just don't have enough full houses either.
And he just doesn't have enough aces.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
6 is kind of nice too. So now David limps the ace jack, roughly 9 effective. Just quick strategy thing here. Offsuit ace X on the button loves to jam 10 and under.
Yeah.
Ace jack off and under, like pure jam.
We don't like limping offsuit stuff. We like limping suited stuff.
Right.
Yep. And queen 7 here. So Lucas goes for jam. It's actually just a check. And the reason why you check is jamming here does not serve you very well.
Yeah.
You get everything better to call and everything worse to fold.
Right.
And you dominate a lot of the limps from the buttons range.
It might be easy to overlook this, but like you're not getting queen 9 to fold here for 9 bigs, or at least you shouldn't be. Now, if he thinks that DW is limp folding like queen 9 or queen 10, then yeah, maybe jamming gets better. But like you shouldn't be getting a lot of better queens to fold at that shallow depth. Right. So you just prefer to check.
Yep. Very, very standard just heads up, sit and go range stuff. Not much of like opinionated strategy. This is like talk to my dad, talk to the overlord. my dad can beat your dad type stuff. Okay, next hand. This is a timestamp, but this is when Nikita comes in. This is when Nikita goes for Rocket Woman.
Yeah, this was wild, man. I feel like I would love to know whether she went into this thinking that, well, I've played quite tight already, and people kind of have an idea that I play tight, and I'm going to play more aggro as a result, or if she just really brought it this one session and made a lot of really great plays.
Yeah, I mean, after this first hand, I kind of thought that nothing was going to change, but then a lot of things changed.
A lot of things changed.
This first hand was a pretty wild one in terms of how it ended up. Like,
yep.
I was very surprised Nikita ended up folding this river. I think everything prior to the river seems fine.
Yeah, so flop is going to be one of those spots where you have 2 sizes, right? The ace queen 8 double draw or flush draw, where DW is going to always do bet like pocket 8s, pocket queens, aces, and then ace queen, and then ace 8 suited a decent amount of the time. So Nikita has the range advantage, and you can go big or you can go small as well. So queen 9 kind of wants to fit into the small bucket. So she goes small, check, check. And then river, David bets, like, is it like a slight over bet?
I think he bets quite big, and I honestly don't even like his bet here. Like,
yeah, king high has showdown value. You have no diamond as well.
Yeah, I think you have too strong of a hand to bluff with almost. Like, it makes more sense to do this if it's not a heads up spot and you know you're dealing with, like you said, like a hijack open range or whatever. But
yep, king jack here, I would rather just use jack 10 with a diamond, and I would bet pot. Like betting pot makes a lot more sense because you're targeting king high.
You have so much jack 10, you have jack 9, you have 10-9, you have all that offsuit stuff, especially the stuff with a diamond. Like you have maybe some king of diamonds deuce type stuff that has to call the flop because it's king high with a diamond.
Definitely.
You know, stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff to bluff with there, but you don't have to bluff with king jack, I don't think.
Right. So king jack in that spot's going to be an over bluff probably. And then queen of diamonds 9 is like a decent hand to call with after you check back, because if you think about the line, it's a single raise pot and we bet 1 big blind on the flop. So David has to continue very wide, and the diamond is very, very nice to block some of the flushes that he's going to have that aren't always going to check raise the flop.
Right.
So I would be like a little more considerate before like call it snap folding, where I think that I would probably lean call, maybe fits to fold sometimes. But queen with a diamond is kind of nicer than like a queen with a better kicker and no diamond.
Yeah, I think if you have queen 9 no diamond, I can understand that it starts to get a bit uncomfortable. But I feel like when you have a diamond, like you just kind of have to annoyingly call, you know.
And this is kind of the issue with heads up, is you just have to play wide ranges and make very uncomfortable decisions, or else people can get away with stuff like over bluffing. And it can be very, very profitable.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting away with stuff and the opposite of getting away with stuff.
Yeah, this hand is insane.
Yeah, this was wild.
Nikita raises queen. Yeah, very wild hand. It's very standard raised.
I feel like there's been a very low frequency of people actually waking up with big hands in these heads-up matches. Like, there wasn't a lot of like aces, kings, queens being dealt out. So seeing Nikita get queens is interesting.
Or it's like the open, who knows, like the open 3-bet fold. Real quick, pre-flop, 100 effective. King 6 is a decent, we can pause it for a second. King 6 is one of those hands that you want to 3-bet pre-flop. The offsuit is very, very nice at like some sort of low frequency. And then ace, 10, going to be a range bet for the button, in theory. If Nikita has a read that David might overbluff on some turns and rivers and stabs, I can understand finding some checkbacks on flop. But I think for my own my own consciousness, like my own sanity, almost like I don't want to have to play those guessing games.
Yeah.
Because now you have to think, oh, like what is he gonna do? How do I know if he's gonna do? Versus just putting in a big blind and seeing what happens. As queens is worth so much pot share here. He can check raise a 10 for value and protection. He can check raise bluffs as well that we've already seen. So I would just go for one big blind and see what happens.
Seems pretty reasonable.
All right, let's go to the turn. Yeah. Turns an 8, and then DW goes for a lead. Not necessarily sure what the lead is, like what's up here with the small lead.
This is super weird. Like the 1/6 pot lead on a total brick of a turn, or mostly a brick of a turn.
Yeah.
Super weird.
So now Nikita's like, okay, I can't take this. I need value for my hand, which I would also agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah, like King High doesn't really want to function much as a lead.
Another situation where you get better to call and worse to fold.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we're sure you're going to get some value from some hands, right? Queen Jack's still going to be in there. Some Jack Highs are still going to be there for a big blind. But the bet doesn't really serve your range very well, as most of your range that wants to bet is 8x, 10x, and also ace-x. So you're going to want to go for a bigger bet most of the time after a check if you are going to bet. But the issue is when Nikita does check back the flop, her range is actually going to be relatively strong as well.
Right.
So you're actually betting into a very strong range that it's kind of like a weird fantasy game because in theory it's a range bet for one big blind. So now once you check, it's like your range is probably stronger because most of your bluffs are going to want to go for the one big blind. So it's a lot more natural to go for the, oh, wait, 2 aces is my board. And then I check back, my hands are going to be a lot more condensed to like sneak traps and not really having those delay bluffs. So betting this 20K is actually kind of a bigger issue than it looks like.
It is funny, like even when you're playing like full ring and you see a hand like that where it's just like, oh, that's a range bet for somebody, and they check. You're like,
aces.
oh, yeah, there's fucked up set.
I just realized that for some reason we were talking about c-betting the flop. I forgot that Nikita actually didn't c-bet the flop.
Right, she checked back.
I thought for some reason DW check called and then led the turn, and I was like, why are you doing this? This makes some sense, but I still feel like the one big blind lead feels weird because not very many hands in our check back range actually have a tough spot against it.
And then he goes for the 3-bet. We're in fantasy land. This is spicy. Like you want to have some sort of equity, right? Some flush draws would be nice. Some open-endeds would be nice if you're going to try to find some hands. Where now we're kind of on an island and we could just be drawing dead. Drawing dead is never fun, especially when there's streets to play and you're out of position. Right, because let's say DW had a hand like 6-7 of diamonds that didn't 3-bet pre for some reason. Like now he has a flush. Or let's say he has a hand like King 6 of diamonds where he goes for a spicy line. Now he rivers a flush, right? But now when you have this kind of combo and you have sort of nothing, you'd rather use hands like Jack 9, 7, 9. And now a lot of your bluffs actually get there on this card. It's a really bad card, right? Because Jack 9 is now a pair and probably doesn't want to bluff. Flush draws get there. So it's really kind of hard to find the creative-ish bluffs. Man, really spooky. Very spooky hand.
This feels like a spot where it's very possible the reason Nikita ended up calling was just this "I don't believe you" kind of a situation. Just like your line doesn't feel like it makes sense. I don't think you would do this with an ace often enough. I call. And sometimes you just kind of have to do that, I guess, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're playing a game versus people, and you have to decide whether or not the line makes sense or not. And it's very difficult to come up with a bluff, but at the very same time, it's hard to come up with a value hand.
Yeah.
It's hard to come up with a value hand that wants to lead, 3-bet, and then do these kind of things, where most of the full houses and things in your range are going to want to call and then let Nikita kind of bet river, and then you can raise and be kind of sneaky there. And kind of it's very creative. It's a very creative line.
Sometimes you just have to not believe people, you know?
Yeah, and she didn't.
I did this yesterday and fucking wrecked a guy with it.
Shout out to the guy's face that got wrecked.
He got wrecked.
His melted face.
Yeah, and then Nikita wrecked him.
She did wreck him.
400, yeah.
She waited till the last second. She really kept him.
Man, this is really tough too with queens here, right? Because like you have queens no diamond, you don't block flushes, you block some straights. Yes.
It's such a good feeling when you agonize over a call, you end up calling, and then you're right. Like when you just slam the chip in there and you're like, "Fuck it, I call," and then they roll over a bluff, and you're like, "Yeah,
so good."
Got you.
Great feeling. Great feeling.
Very good feeling. One of the better feelings in this game.
It's true.
Better than the opposite feeling, that's for sure. So this was another interesting one.
Yep.
I think Nikita has a hand that can check raise at a pretty high frequency here. Maybe a little bit less so against a decent sized bet, like 50 into 80. But she does have a diamond in her hand, which obviously is going to work out pretty well. It's always really fun seeing everybody in the back just like rooting for cards and like super invested in it.
I love that part of this show.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really good.
I think she has to lead at a decent frequency on this 7, but I think people can underestimate in heads up how much leading happens. Or sorry, people can underestimate the extent to which the in-position player here in a heads-up match actually can still have a bunch of 7x. So the extent to which the leading happens is sometimes a little bit neutralized by that. But I do think leading is probably going to be fine with the hand that she has.
Yeah. Leading's good here. Like a lot of the ranges she has, it's going to check call. It's going to be 7x. So finding leads in this spot is a very, very standard.
Yeah. I'm not sure what Charlie's on about. He was like, he has ace 10. He just said he has ace 10 in her mind 100% of the time. Like, that's not really true, but whatever.
Let him cook.
Yeah. There's the river diamond is really interesting here because I feel like most of the time when you get here with an unpaired hand that has a diamond in it, you probably just have to go for it. Like it feels really hard to just give up 9 high here.
Yeah, she finds a creative line and goes for a check jam where I would have gone for a river bet myself, go for like a river B75, because it really is a pain if it does go check and we lose. And we get called by some like ace highs.
Right, like because again, he can have, I mean, the absolute worst is he has like 9-10 of something and just gives up. And we still lose, you know, that really sucks.
Right. It could be a big issue. So I think that I would want to go for choosing a different combo, but at the same time, like finding the frequency of playing a check jam as a bluff here. Very, very creative.
Yeah, really good.
Gee, let's go.
Super sharp.
Yeah.
And then he's just really mad and folds a jack.
I think like insta-mux.
Yeah. I think Jack 8 fold here is actually reasonable. Jack 8 with a diamond, you're going to be a lot more indifferent.
Yeah.
Jack 8, no diamond.
I think that's basically snap mucking when you don't have a diamond is considering the size of the jam too. Like he bet 150, she jammed for 1.1. Like you don't have to, considering David can still have 7x, he can still have Jack X with a diamond, he can still have flushes, houses, some straights even. There's so much stuff that he can have there that can much more easily call compared to just a Jack with no diamond. Like I do think it's very reasonable to just snap muck in that spot.
That was probably my favorite hand so far out of the whole series.
Yeah, really good hand, really interesting hand.
So yeah, there's a lot of fun hands in this heads up thing. But let me tell you something else that's more fun.
What's that?
More drama?
More fucking drama, man.
Do we have drama going on while we're on air?
We have drama going on right now.
Because you guys have been so active over on the other side of the room. I've been like trying to keep the discussion going, and I have no idea what you guys are doing. So drop it on us. Drop it on us. What's going on?
I don't know what's going on. It's so hard to like wrap everything together. But Mars is now going to Twitter, and he's posting that Wesley had allegedly ran a game, an app game, where he was cheating everybody. And there was a guy called Mr. Fang, Mr. F, he calls him, and he brought it to Mars' attention that something was wrong with the game. And basically, it says that Wesley admitted to using multiple RTA GTO colluding robots against all the players. Mr. F said he was going to go expose him for cheating him out of 1.5 million RMB before the $1 million cash game at HCL. And Wesley paid back the money to prevent getting exposed. And it doesn't stop there, man. There's another tweet that basically says, after Wesley lost $1.5 million to Dylan Heads Up, Wesley started working with the developer on a Heads Up RTA tools. He said he would connect it to GG Poker, and Mars provided a bunch of screenshots for this. And he said, Wesley, this is a conversation between him and Wesley where he brags about how he's going to cheat everybody.
Is this it right
Heads
here?
Up
Connor's
and
just
be
like-
the top #1 in the world. The next one.
This is so
next one.
wild.
Yeah, so that's this one. And this is all pretty wild to me because like can't you make these things up? Like this could all be fabricated. This could all be true. And it's just like it's literally like I said yesterday, it's the Spider-Man meme. Everybody's
pointing at the other one. Yeah.
Shooting shit at each other.
Yeah.
And it is so absurd. To be honest, if you ask me, they're all fucking cheating somehow, some way.
Yeah.
This is insane.
I mean, we said it pre-podcast, but they need a spin-off of Game of Gold called Game of Cold.
Yeah, Game of Cold deck. Yeah.
Where they're all just playing, they're playing a sit and go, and whoever can cheat them out of the most amount of money, but if you get caught, you lose. This is the new. This is new poker content.
You know what? You know what I just saw as well. This is completely off topic, but I was scanning Twitter for the same stuff that you're just looking through. I just saw there's apparently an active shooter at UNLV.
I just saw that.
Saw that as well.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. I hope everyone's okay.
Yeah,
if you are by UNLV, please stay safe.
Right, Metro Police said there's possible multiple victims, so it could be a terrible situation.
That's horrible.
Right. Hate to hear that, man. But we're gonna get out of here on that note. I don't know what's to come over the next couple days, man.
We got a Game of Gold finale on Friday.
We do have a Game of Gold finale on Friday. That's some fun stuff. I'm really excited to look forward to that.
2-hour finale.
What's even better is our boy Guapo came up with the best idea for tomorrow. So for this weekend's Weekend Warrior, tomorrow we are going to play Indian poker to see who gets to pick the winner. Who gets first pick of the final 6 of Game of Gold. So that's going to be this weekend's Weekend Warrior.
And I guess since I won't be here, I just get last pick by default. So you guys can just pick ahead of me.
We'll try to flush it out tonight.
Yeah. All right. Well, if I'm not here, just leave me with whoever's last, and I'll just sweat them.
Unfortunately, hon, I think you get showered here.
I get showered.
Well, no,
we already got 6 people.
6 players, right?
Melissa's going to be in studio tomorrow, and Berkey will be here.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So
that's fine.
We have 6.
I think I'd rather not pick than get stuck with the last pick. At least this way, my record doesn't get harmed. You know, I think I'm like 50-50 right now.
Maybe Fedor will be the last guy.
Yeah, maybe everyone just thinks Fedor's the worst player out of those 6.
I'm definitely. If I get first pick, I'm picking Kinda. Y'all crazy.
I'm
telling you, Kinda's going to win this
Fedor
shit.
now, man. Team Fedor.
Okay.
You were on me?
Yeah, he was on you. He was on you. You didn't realize.
You got a big screen right to your right, Connie.
All right, guys. Well, on that note, we are out of here. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to go check out that new Poker Out Loud at S4Y.io.
That's right.
And we'll be back here tomorrow with Berkey. He's gonna do some. He's gonna dig and dive into all this Twitter shit. It's too much for my little brain to comprehend, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I don't want to believe that Wesley's a cheater, man.
Well, I do because it seems that way. But I think everybody's all fucked up over there. There's a lot of shit going on. We don't know what's going on. I can't even comprehend it. I can't even put things together. I'm so lost. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. Peace.
Thanks.
See you.
Peace.